So, this is Sid the Kid here, and what a wonderful episode of Love After Lockup, Season 2, Episode 15, which is also a derivative of Life After Lockup, Episode 2. A lot more convoluted than it should be as far as I'm concerned, but let's get to the smut. Oh my goodness, this whole thing was hilarious. And by the way, if you don't watch Love After Lockup, you're probably just an upstanding citizen that doesn't want to, get into that type of thing, and you're like, I want to stay classy. I'm a ratchet bitch deep on the inside, so I love this. So let's get to our couples. I actually just finished watching the episode, so in case if there's anything that I don't get, I apologize in advance. But then I also realize, girl, you only got 3 subscribers. It's okay. Y'all be all right. But anyway, I digress. So let's get to, I want to start with Lizzie and Todd. Lizzie and her trick. Let's call it like that. So anyway, in this particular episode, because they've broken up Scott does not have any more money. And in the first season, he said he gave Lizzie $90,000. In the episode before this, he said $100,000. In this episode, he said $142,000. He's not making himself look good, but we won't go there. So he goes out because both Scott and Lizzie are going on blind dates. So we get to see what goes on. And I will say this for Lizzie. That bitch look good. I can't say nothing. Other than she's like a gold digging whore, but physically, that bitch looks good. I can't say nothing about it. So she's on the phone with her daughter, Jasmine. I almost want to say she's the daughter and Jasmine's the mother, but that's a whole nother story. And she's like trying to get dressed for her date, right? So they choose their outfit. She goes out, and then she gets this young thing walks up to the table. I was like, well, Lizzie, go ahead. No hate. Listen, get it, girl. And he's cute. And I also see that she definitely has a pattern, because she definitely likes white dudes. But I also I don't think she cares what you look like as long as you've got some coin. So she, gets this young thing to sit down. They're having dinner, and all of a sudden, this is a thing. Why do people say so much on the first date? Don't talk about exes. Don't talk about past relationships. Don't talk about jail or your heroin usage. And she talked about both of those things. When she first mentioned the whole heroin thing, he just brushed it off like, oh, my dad does that. It's okay. And I was like, all right. But then when she said, I spent 10 years in jail, that's when the date was over, baby. That's when it was the wrap. I could definitely see that. So then the date was so over. They fast forward to the end where they get the check, and this nigga says to her, "So how you want to do this? You want to split it, or how do you want to?" The look on her face. Listen, Lizzie and I are very different, but the looks on our faces in that situation was the same. Like, wait. Sorry, I feel like I hallucinated for a second. Did you just have to split the check? And that's because deep down, I am a traditionalist, but I'm also, quote unquote, an independent woman. So whenever I go out on a date, I always make sure I have money on me. I never go out broke, because people is trifling as fuck. So that's why I don't do that. When he said, let's split the check, honey, she was like, I got 25 for you. She put 25 on the table. I was thinking to myself, well, damn, I hope the whole check was 50, because that's Dutch. That's how that works. But then, even better, let's get to Scott's date, because Lizzie's date just ended, and that was just, she trying to figure it out, because she went to jail, I believe, in 2009, and she just got, or 2008, and she got out in 2018. So she's very new to this whole like online dating thing. But she even said, listen, I just put out that I have these big ass titties. And I'm just like, well, mean, I can't really hate on it because that's certainly shit that got my attention. I wanted to motorboat them things myself. So, like, I get it. But anyway, let's get to Scott's date, because Scott is a whole fucking mess, and we're not even talking about his dental work because I don't know what's going on in here. Which, by the way, I cannot speak because my teeth is jacked up too, but I am not on TV. So anyway, he gets to this restaurant. You see he has flowers in his hand. He's waiting on this woman to get here. It's a blind date. Or like just an online date. And this woman walks in, and I'm like, go ahead, black of the berry, sweet of the juice. Okay. I see that Scott also has a type. He likes them tan and exotic. Okay. Or he just likes a little chocolate. He just wants some chocolate in his life. And it's understandable. We're delicious. But she gets there, right? And they start talking. And again, the divulging so much information. He says almost, it feels like immediately, but this is basically editing, I'm sure. But he says almost immediately, oh, the last time I was out on a date was with my girlfriend Lizzie, but she really broke me. And she's like, what's that mean? And he's like, yeah, or she says something like, oh, what does that mean? Does that mean you gave her a lot of money or something? He's like, yeah, I gave her $142,000. And she says, because you could tell this is a very mature, kind of put together lady. And she was like, so if you and I were talking and I asked you for money to help me with my yoga studio, and I drop off the face of the earth for 4 months, and then I call you back up to ask for money, you would still give it to me? He's like, yeah, I probably would. And that's when she's like, you need therapy. And I was like, oh no. Damn. I've never heard that on a date before. I mean, bitch, I do, but I've never like showcased it to the point where somebody's telling me, bitch, you need therapy, right? So after she says that, she says, it looks like he's got a lot. She's like, in her version of the confessional, she's like, I feel like he would be the perfect partner for somebody, not me. But he would be the perfect partner for somebody, but he's got a lot of work to do on himself. AKA, bitch, you crazy and I ain't got the time. Which, it's the fucking truth. And that basically wraps up Lizzie and Scott. So, fucked up and fucked up, still fucked up. So, let's get to Clint and Crickety Crack, AKA Tracy. So, Tracy is talking to Clint. And, as far as Clint's concerned, that's his goddess. However you feel, baby. And he says, well, she says to him, I really need to meet your mother. I really need to meet your mother. It's really important to me. And this is my thing. I'm 32 and I've had several boyfriends, and I think of all of the boyfriends that I've had, I think I've only gotten along with the mother of maybe 2. And I've had a really horrible experience with men's mothers, to the point where I was just like, yo, I gotta find myself an orphan, because this is ridiculous. I'd rather help you deal through the grief, which is so fucked up. Because now that I'm older, I'm like, damn, that's extreme. But that's the truth. That's really how I felt. So I almost was a little confused by why this was so important to her. But I also know for most women, if the mother of the person that you're with, the mother of the person that you're with doesn't like you, then the relationship doesn't work. And I feel like I've had experiences contrary to that. I think that it's great. I think it's amazing if you have it. But if you don't, Jesus, I guess I'm a little lost as to why she's so gun-ho on meeting this man's mother, especially when Clint's mother was like, she stole your car and she was doing crack and she went back to jail. I don't want to talk to her. And I completely understand. Which is also another reason, whenever you are fighting with your spouse, you don't call your mother. I know people do it for advice. I do it my damn self. So it very hypocritical of me. But I also know for a fact that once you tell your mother or group of friends that you have a spouse that's, I don't know, fucking up. I can't think of a better term. When that's happening, they're never going to accept them again. The only thing they're going to remember is the hurt and the pain that you were going through when you spoke to them in the first place. Period. So, like I said, Clint's mother is like, I'm not having it. I don't give a fuck about that bitch. So for some reason, don't ask me why, Clint and Tracy are on the road, and somehow Tracy convinced Clint, hey, we're in the neighborhood, let's drive by. She's being very, very insistent on meeting his mother. So he gets to her beautiful ass house in New Mexico. Jesus, I was like, damn, if we get a better president, I gotta look at the state, because that was a beautiful house, and it was all brick, and well, we won't get into that, but it was pretty. And she goes inside, and he goes inside, and he's like, hey, Mom. She's like, oh, hey, this is a nice surprise. What's going on? He's like, well, Tracy's outside. You just saw her whole face like. And I was like, ooh, that don't look good. And listen, let me tell you something. This lady put her foot down. I'm almost kind of proud of her, because she said, I don't want her around my house. Like, on the property, bitch. Like, she can't even stay outside. Don't even sell you lemonade. I'm sorry, bitch. You need to be away from my property. You can stand at the intersection type shit. I was like, God damn. But again, she stole a car and did crack and went to jail, and then went back and was like, well, Clint and I've married now, so you have to put up with me. No, the fuck she doesn't. I know my mother wouldn't have. Listen, I lost my virginity when I was 20, 21, and it took my mother at least a good, 6 or 7 years to start meeting boyfriends again. So I understand completely when you have a parent that's very stuck in their ways, but they have reasonings for it, so I get it. So she's like, I don't want to talk to her. She needs to get off my property. And I don't know, and I feel disrespected that you even brought her. And I'm like, tell your son what's good. I don't know what her name is, but gone girl. I support that completely. So he goes back outside, tells Tracy the inevitable news. And, she gets a little upset, and she goes back in the car, and he's like, you're not upset, right? You promise? And she's like, yeah. How did niggas fall for that? Anyway, so the next couple on the roster is going to be Britney and Marcelino. Britney is in the kitchen making breakfast, and, Marcelino gets up, and I'm like, damn, so you just get up and a bitch is making breakfast? That must be nice. Girl, I need a wife. And she's saying that, this is really hard on me. I feel like I'm by myself a lot. And she's obviously, and I could tell she feels blessed being able to have the opportunity to be a housewife, to take care of her kids and be there for them 24/7. But it's really, really draining on her, especially since the baby is so young and he works nights. And I was good until I was still with Marcelino a little bit until he said, hey, I'm trying to make myself a poker career. This nigga about to gamble all the church's money. How do you do that? Where they do that at? Like you're not, I just don't see you on ESPN anytime soon. So I'm trying to understand what's really going on. And then she also talks about how he doesn't like her friends, because I guess they had been to jail before. He doesn't like her friends. And she's saying, listen, I need the help. I need the support. And it's really hard when you don't want me to even talk to my friends, or you don't want me to be around them. Now, little backstory, I'm sure she slept with them both. There's a lot of kitty clicking that be going on in jail. I don't see nothing wrong with it, but it's available. It's right there. So I get it, but I can see why he's a little hesitant. But not only that, but the fact that I'm sure she's still on probation, because people stay on probation forever. It's literally like jail after jail. which I think is ridiculously stupid. But at the same time, I understand, she used to do drugs, she used to be in a lot of stuff, and he wants to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. But at the same time, it's like, if she's crying out for help her. Like, oh, I need to be able to stay out 4 nights a week and play poker. No, the fuck you not. You're not leaving me in here with this baby all night by myself. I'm not a single parent. Why do I feel like one? And I also, a little backstory on that. I saw that happen while I was growing up. My mother went to school full time. She homeschooled us. And my father just was there, not helping, not doing anything, more or less just delegating duties, and being quite the asshole during the entire time. So it's like, I felt her. I felt her in that situation for real. I really did. So, I mean, I hope they work that out. But I know she's got like a little boy, a toddler, and now a newborn. Or, the kid's like must be 6 months old. She was like itty bitty baby. So I understand why she's, really, really frustrated with that. So, moving on from there, our next couple, Lamar and Andrea. Andrea is a black woman who is a Mormon, who's from Utah, who fell in love with an ex-gangbanger. So stupid. Anyway, so she's had to move from Utah. I guess they're living in, a bit more of meager means, I suppose. But let me tell you something. When she was in the grocery store with her daughter took me the fuck out. Okay? When they were looking at the meat and she was like, I feel like we're going to get food poisoning. And at first because my first instinct is always to, defend to the death of me. But I'm not going to lie. I looked at that meat and I was like, it do look a little questionable. And I certainly wouldn't be buying pork from there. Just saying. So anyway, her friends from Utah, I don't even know why I call them friends, because this is just the most let me stop. Stop it, Sydney. Stop it. She has some shitty friends. Just going to be perfectly open and real about that. So she FaceTimes them and she's going into, what's going on, and the fact that Lamar and her daughter got really, really close. And then he ended up going back to jail because he was in a car with a person who was a felon and they found a gun, which violates his parole, which sent him back to jail for whatever amount of time, right? Okay. So she's in the grocery store trying to explain how tough it's been and how at one point her daughter wanted to take his last name and then he went to jail and now she doesn't even want to think about it, so on and so forth. I'll be real. I don't believe that shit. Because I remember watching the first season. That little girl was not having any of this. And she seems a beautiful little chocolate girl. But I also believe, I believe that maybe she tried to be okay with it and maybe give him a chance, but I don't think anybody was taking nobody's last name. I'm sorry, baby. I don't believe that shit at all. But she breaks down crying, explaining that, how much he hurt her kids and blah, blah, blah. And this is in the middle of the grocery store. And at first I was going to drag her about that, but then I was like, bitch, you be crying in public, so you can't really be hating on it. She was hurt. The daughter comes over and tries to give her a hug, so on and so forth. Skip to when Andrea is about to go pick up her husband, it's her husband now, from jail. And he goes to a payphone. She's basically sitting outside staring at this nigga. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm still at home. Psych, I'm right across the street. Comes across the street and he says, oh, hey baby. Oh, where's my car? Where's my car? And when Andrea got in that confessional, she was like, yo, that's the first thing that you say to me? What about my car? Like, she's very upset about this. You don't say, hey, you love me. I can't wait to see the kids. What you're thinking about is your car. And despite all of this, he's I'm not going to lie. I was a little offended about how much he really was talking about the car myself. I really was. Real talk. I really was. Because you really just got home and that's the only thing you talking about. But then she got in the car and she told him, oh, we had to sell it because you went to jail. He said, why did you sell your car? I was like, bitch, sell my car? Bruh. And by the way, I also wonder why it would matter if we're married. So basically we're just going to go down from a two-car household to a one-car household because she obviously had to pay bills. And then I was under the impression that she was a stay-at-home mom, like while she was with Lamar. But I'm like, what did Lamar do to bring in money? Maybe construction, because he's a felon. It's really hard to get a job. Girl, whatever. Still fucked up, always will be fucked up. Moving on to the next. Oh, and the most fucked up trio of them all, Megan, Sarah, and Michael. So Megan is now there to go pick up Michael from jail because he spent 4 months in jail because she brought him to parole too late, like 10 minutes late. So they sent him to jail for 4 months. So it's like, again, just ridiculous rules for people on parole. So she gets to the place where she can go pick him up, and the mother is in the car with Michael's little sister, and I guess Megan and his little sister Day got into it like online, Twitter beef and whatnot. And obviously she's rolling in thinking, I need answers from his mother, because why would you be around me and knowing that this man is married and don't even tell me that he's married? Which is shady as fuck. How you letting your son, like, I'm sorry. My mother's always told me I never can lie for you, and she's a terrible liar anyway, so it would be a horrible job. But like, it's a rough situation, but at the same time, it's like, you're literally talking to his side piece like it's all good. Like, I don't know. I feel like because we're women, that should kind of weigh out over, and that you should be wanting to teach your son that you can't play with people's hearts like that. Like, this ain't Milton Bradley, nigga. You can't just be doing whatever and when. Moving on. It's fine. So, she's talking to the mother in the car, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the way Megan is talking to her mom. Talking to his mom. And she's like, well, the fact that you know he's married now, because she didn't know before. I could forgive everything that Megan was doing before because everything was unbeknownst to her. And she was a 28-year-old virgin, which I didn't wait that long, but I concur.